All right, let's rock and roll, ladies and gentlemen. Coming up, we have stories about moms barging into your home, being told, "You're the prettiest when you shut up." Husband was fired and won't tell wife why. Fiancé purchased house with his mom for us. Putting a padlock on your child's door. Don't want to go there. Switching meals when you don't like your food. And decorating with clown figurines. Candy Thunder knows how I feel about clowns and still put this story on the dock. Thus the clown figurines. I'm already not happy. I'm already AskCon 1. AskCon 1, not for OP, for Candy Thunder, for putting a clown story on the dock. Couple of notes here. Thunder and Spark, which now includes Cade and Thunder, is now out on YouTube, also on Spotify, on Apple Podcast, all the other audio podcast channels. Go check it out. It's a really good time. Having Cade in there is a really good balance. Tony Spark, is Tony in chat yet? Tony Spark really leans into this feeling like he's being overshadowed now because it's 3 Thunders and 1 Spark. We love you, Tony. Mwah, mwah. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with a story for you. Title of this one is, Am I the Astronaut for having my mother yell at me for having intercourse with my girlfriend in my own apartment when we're both 26 years of age? We're just diving straight in here, aren't we? So I, 26 male, live with my girlfriend, 26 female, in an apartment that I pay for. We've been together for 3 years and our relationship is great. We're both working professionals, fully independent, and like any normal couple, we even have an active sex life. Enter my mother. I feel like word choice is important, and I feel like enter my mother right after saying you have an active sex life. Not the right choice of words. Enter my mother, 54 female. She's always been a little overbearing, but since I moved out when I started dating my girlfriend, I thought things had gotten better. Apparently, I was wrong. Last weekend, my mom came over to drop off some homemade food, which was nice. I'll give her that. I had told her she could stop by after 4 p.m. since my girlfriend and I were having a lazy morning. But of course, she decided to show up 2 hours early with her spare key, which she has for emergencies. Well, my girlfriend and I were in the bedroom, clearly busy, when we heard my mother banging on the bedroom door. She was shouting my name and saying things like, "I know what you're doing in there. Have some respect." What were you doing to her? I scrambled to throw on some clothes, went out and asked her what the hell she was doing here unannounced. She started yelling at me about how it was disgusting and inappropriate to be doing that while guests are over. I reminded her that this is my apartment. She wasn't supposed to be here yet. We're 2 consenting adults. She was having none of it. She called me disrespectful and said I have no manners. And even told my girlfriend that she should be ashamed. Which, what the f***? My girlfriend just walked out of the room, grabbed her keys, and left because she wasn't dealing with that nonsense. I ended up arguing with my mom for 10 more minutes before telling her to leave and return the spare key. She refused at first, but I stood my ground until she finally handed it over. She left in a huff and later texted me saying she was deeply disappointed in how I spoke to her. Now my dad and sister are both telling me I was too harsh and that I shouldn't have put her in that situation. I argued that she put herself in that situation by showing up unannounced and barging into my home. That's the end of the story, ladies and gentlemen. So the question is, am I the astronaut for having my mother yell at me for having intercourse with my girlfriend in my own apartment when we're both 26 years of age? Hell nah. Hell nah. So the moral of the story here is, don't give your mom a spare key, not even for emergencies. Right? No, like our parents would never, but like we have kids, we have animals. It's a little bit of a different situation. In their instance, they're 2 single adults, no kids. Doesn't sound like they have any pets. At least they didn't describe it that way. So you know, what emergency would she possibly need the key for except to be your cooler? Your mom's your cooler. Nothing spoils the mood like your mom banging on the door. Any normal human being in this occasion, like showed up early, heard their kid in there doing whatever, would be like, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave. Even if she was going to do what she came to do and leave the food, a normal human being, a respectful human being would like, I'll set this on the counter and I'll just leave. And they'll never know I was here until they come out and see the food, and then they'll be like, oh shit. But it's no, to bang on the door, to say have some manners, and say that you're being disrespectful is it's Delulu. I'm going Delulu. Allie, as the mom, I'd be embarrassed and just walk off? Yeah, why? Katie the redhead with the $2 super said, please change the locks, OP. She made copies, 100%. Handing that over does nothing. You know she's made copies. Just assume it. Just assume it. Hey, it's Dusty Thunder with another story for you. This one is actually from Am I Overreacting? And the title is Am I Overreacting? My boyfriend said I'm the prettiest when I shut up in front of his friends. Well, what was the reaction? Then we could tell you if you were overreacting or not. My boyfriend, 25 male, and I, 22 female, were invited to a birthday party of his friend. The people at this event were all close friends of his from his contract job, and I barely know these people. Everything was going fine, and my boyfriend was clearly having a great time. But at some point, I was telling a story from my school days when my boyfriend interrupted and said, you know, she's the prettiest when she shuts up. We can go ahead and do this. And you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and do this too. Brozo. Everyone laughed and my boyfriend just kept going saying, you guys don't know what I go through. She never stops talking. Sometimes I tune her out for my own sanity. Or something along those lines. And he's saying this right in front of her. I'm guessing he's just sauced right now. Doesn't make it okay. Sauced and trying to buck up for his buddies. I'm usually really introverted, but when I warm up to someone, I'm the type to talk a lot. So when he said these words, I felt so embarrassed and humiliated, especially since he said it so casually in front of people I don't even know. I tried to brush it off, but I got quiet after that. Later, after the party was over, I told him how hurtful his comment was. He rolled his eyes and said I was being too sensitive and that it was just a joke and I was making a big deal out of nothing. Dismissive. How completely unexpected from a brozo douche canoe like Bro. He said I embarrassed him by acting cold for the rest of the night and that I should learn to take a joke. He also told me that if I couldn't learn to lighten up, maybe I shouldn't come to events with his friends anymore, even though he was the one who asked me to come to it in the first place. I feel so awful and confused. Am I in the wrong for getting upset and killing the vibe? Poor OP thinks she killed the vibe. Tater, this is Tater territory right here, folks. This is straight up your farmland. Come on over. Let's talk about it. Because this would be like if I said something like this about you, which I would never do because I'm not an idiot or a brozo. Not all the time, like this guy. Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time this evening, Tater Thunder. Ayo!
I think she's 22. So I
yes.
can, I tried to think about like as myself being 22 and how like no confidence I had that she's even questioning should she be offended by something like this. And, you know, some of the comments were like, well, do you talk too much? I mean, does he have a point? And I was like, regardless of whether or not she talks too much and like regardless of whether or not the story was long-winded or whatever, this is not how you speak to another human being to talk to them about something that even if he does have a problem with it, like this is such an asshole move to do, to put your girlfriend in her place, to make known to your friends that, yeah, I'm in charge. I wear the pants in the relationship. She answers to me. Like this is all of those vibes that he's giving off in this. And then when she says, hey, your words hurt me, he's like, f you, take a joke. You're too sensitive. And knowing what I know now, she should have got up and left and walked away from this party as soon as those words came out of his mouth. But at 22, like when you are still figuring things out and you don't know yourself like that, this is the kind of shit that makes people insecure. This is the kind of shit that derails your confidence. And especially for someone who, like she said, when you're more of like an introvert and you're shy at first and you don't know, like you're warming up to people, like 100%. That's me, and still to this day, like it takes me a minute to warm up and like actually start communicating, having conversations. And she was at that stage, and then he just shut her down with the worst way possible. No, this guy would be an ex, like so freaking fast.
Yeah,
I wouldn't. This unacceptable behavior. It's unacceptable to treat any human like that. If you have a problem with how much someone talks, especially your significant other, that's a conversation that you have in private, one-on-one. And also, like, he knows who she is, but and then he went even further to just make mockery out of her even further by saying, you guys don't know what I go through. She never stops talking. It's sometimes I tune her out for my own sanity. I would have been like, sanity delivered, and I would have left the party, because this is that's just mean. There's no other word for it. It's just cruel and mean and disrespectful
and cowardly.
Absolutely
Cowardly, because like he didn't have the stones to have, if these were real issues, didn't have the stones to have this conversation with you in private. He just wanted to buck up and show off by pretending,
right,
or showing his true colors in front of his buddies and just using you as the punching bag and not giving a shit what damage it does to your relationship. This is a learned behavior, right? He learned this from somebody. Maybe his dad was this way, but he learned this and thinks it's okay and thinks you're going to stay around and take it. Prove him wrong.
Please.
Prove him wrong. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder once again with another story for you. This one is actually a Best of Redditor update and is titled, My 36 female husband, 41 male, got fired for harassing a coworker and won't talk to me about it. Well, shit, let's just go ahead and go to red flag mode, shall we? Originally posted April 2nd, 2018. My husband, Charlie, and I have been together for 10 years, married for 6. We've had our ups and downs, but we're currently in and up. He has never done anything like this in the past, so it came out of left field for me, and I'm very much shocked and at a loss here. Charlie is a computer programmer and was a senior engineer at his former company, where he had worked for 4 years. He'd never had any trouble with coworkers, and were both friendly with a few of them, mostly other men and their wives. On Friday of last week, he came home around 11 a.m. and told me that he had been fired. He was really upset and agitated, and I didn't want to push him about it, but he told me that they had said he was harassing a coworker and was fired. The information I've been able to get out of him is the coworker is Beth, a junior engineer who he's never mentioned to me before. He said she's terrible at her job. Beth slept with a senior engineer we are both friendly with, Darren. Darren was not involved in the harassment, wasn't fired, etc. The company's lawyers were there, and among the other things they told him was that Beth could have pressed charges but chose not to. Something happened to her car, but he won't say what. His exact words were, there was something with her car. So there was something with her car. He was escorted off of the premises and is not allowed back in the building to get his belongings, and instead has to arrange with security to pick them up after business hours. As far as anything else goes, he won't give me any details. He isn't interested in seeing a lawyer because he says everything is legal. He has basically admitted to sending Beth some emails, but won't say what they said or anything like that. I don't know if Beth sleeping with Darren had to do with it, but the fact that he gave me that detail makes me think it does. I'm not sure how it relates. Darren's a very nice single man who is in his late 20s and approximately the same age as Beth. My mind is running wild here. Charlie has been depressed and withdrawn all weekend, won't talk to me about it, and won't talk much in general. I work remotely, so I was home all day with him, and he played video games all day and then went to bed at 6 p.m. The fact that he won't tell me anything and isn't interested in seeing a lawyer makes me think it's that bad. And it makes me worry that everything is true and not just a misunderstanding or small thing blown out of proportion. He has never been flirtatious with any other women or cruel to them, and he's never said anything bad about other women engineers he works with. I don't know what to do here. My instinct is to be supportive of my husband, but I don't know what kind of behavior I'd be supporting. I don't want to run to his coworkers we know and ask them, since they're more of our friends than my friends, and while we spend time together at get-togethers or bars, I'm not close with them in an immediate sense. I don't know what to do about helping someone who is so depressed and won't talk to me. Top comments on this OG post. Comment, I would tell him you have to assume the worst if he can't be honest with you. I gotta say, he must have done bad shit to be escorted off the premises with no warning like that. Either he was hating on her and went over the top, or he tried to F her and went over the top, or he tried to F her and then hated on her. Edit, reread, I'm guessing tried to F her, sent crazy emails and vandalized her car. He could easily still be charged criminally and or sued. I didn't get that vibe. I didn't get the vibe that he was trying to F her. I got the vibe that he got pissed because she's terrible at her job and screwing her way to the top, and his job is going to experience some pain for it. But him not being willing to divulge details, to me, makes it feel like he did some crazy shit, like slashed tires, like vandalized, like went too far, clearly. I did not get the vibe that he was trying to F her, but who knows? Another comment here, seeing as it got so far that he's been fired and he doesn't want to fight it, sounds like the allegations are probably true. The fact that he brings up Darren makes it seem like he's harassed her as a result of sexual jealousy. Does he usually shut down conversation on things? Does he usually keep things from you? I'd be very cautious about what he's hiding and what it means for you and your relationship, even if it's not sexual and it's just plain old harassment. Do you want to be with a grown man who harasses young women to the point that he gets fired? Okay, there's a next day update. Before we get into that, did you guys get the vibe? Did you get the vibe that it was like a sexual thing for him? It very well could be. And Candy Thunder knows the story, so I can't ask her. Oh, we don't find that out? How entirely disappointing. Yeah, I didn't get that vibe either. Now, she does present this as if it is out of character for him. So there's that. Which makes me think like he's just not willing to divulge it. But at that point, like him coming home and just diving into gaming and then going to bed at 6 p.m., like that's depression, right? He's gone into like an immediate depression. It's the details. Like if some crazy shit happened, the first thing I would do, even if we didn't work together, you know what I mean? If I had a normal job. And if something crazy happened, immediately spilling all the details to my partner would be the first thing that I do because we do life together. And withholding that information from the most important person in your life is a huge red flag. All right, update next day. My thread was locked before I was able to respond to any of the comments, but I was able to read them this morning. I got up at 5:30 to go to the gym before work and my husband was still awake playing video games. Oh damn, he going hard. I presented him with the very good idea someone suggested of sending me an email with the details, but that it was unacceptable to shut me out of his situation since it affects me too. His response was basically, the paperwork is in my car, go get it if you want to read it. I asked him to go get it so we could look at it together and he said, you're gonna believe what you want anyway. All of this is so unusual for our marriage because I'm a pretty patient person, I think. We went out to the car together and he got in his car, handed me the papers and left. For about 2 hours I was panicked because I didn't know where he went, if he was okay, if he was thinking of hurting himself, but his mother texted me at 9 saying he was over there, asking me what happened, if everything is okay, etc. His parents live about 15 minutes away and I guess he told her he's going to be staying there. Ooh. So just the fact that she wanted to know the details meant that he was automatically evicting himself. It's got to be that bad. So the paperwork, according to the paperwork, he sent her multiple harassing emails from anonymous email accounts. The emails are printed out and attached. He apparently did this while at work and they have been monitoring his user account for 3 months. The emails aren't sexual or romantic in nature and are all anonymous about how she sucks at her job, wouldn't be there if she wasn't a woman, how she should quit before she gets fired, and how everyone in the office hates her. He made fake user accounts for his company's product that she works on and submitted bad reviews of her work. He also did this while logged in at work. He sent an anonymous email to her boss saying that she was sleeping with a senior engineer on another project. He put a gun catalog on the windshield of her car. I don't know what this gesture means, but I obviously understand that it was meant to be threatening. Unfortunately, inside was a subscription card that the company autofilled with his name and address. She also says she has been harassed for the same length of time, about 3 months, on Twitter. He only logged into one Twitter account that harassed her at work, so they can only say one was him, all telling her to quit her job. So I don't know what to do now. This is all terrifying to me, and I feel so bad for this woman. I have no idea what this is all about. He works with other women engineers, and he has worked with male engineers who don't pull their weight, and he's never done anything like this. I would have bet $1 million that he would never do anything like this. He's at his parents' right now, and I don't know what my next move here could possibly be. This is so scary and out of left field to me. Yeah, I imagine. Relevant comments. OP added in the comments, I forgot to mention this paperwork is copied from the original and was signed by both him and his company. I don't know if that's a full admission, but it seems pretty damning either way. Yeah, you signed it. That's a full admission. Comment, time to sit your husband down and give an ultimatum. He needs to give you his side of the story or you two are done. This is clearly a Jekyll and Hyde thing going on. Another comment, your husband needs serious therapy. What you described is absolutely abhorrent behavior. If he's willing to get help about this or do anything to convince you that he understands how wrong what he did is, you should seriously consider getting as far away from this man as you can. What he did is evil. And if this has been going on, that's the end of the updates. If this has been going on that long, he had plenty of opportunities to talk to you about something that was really bothering him. And in your position here, OP, I'd be looking at the last 3 months that this was going on and being like, did I notice anything different? And if not, I'd be even more concerned because he was harassing somebody to a dangerous, dangerous level. And with the catalog he put on her windshield, it was a brozo move, first of all. All of it's a brozo move, but this particularly is a brozo move because it had the pre-filled subscription card inside of it. But like to put that catalog there as some kind of veiled threat it's all too far. It's all too far. But why her? And we don't know. This is all the information we have. So why her? Why would this person, out of all the people he's ever worked with, male and female, be the one that just pushed him over the edge? What is it about this person? And and that set him off. Not excusing his behavior, but only because OP said this came out of nowhere. Possible. Emailing her boss, doing all of this anonymous, like it's very, very cowardly, right? Doing all of this anonymous. If he's got a problem with somebody, like if it's a legitimate problem, take it to HR, take it to your boss, take it to her boss, take it to her. If it's a legitimate problem, make it legitimate. But doing the most cowardly thing possible and making all of this anonymous, he went online anonymous bully mode and did all of this shit. It just, nothing helps him here. And the fact that he automatically evicted himself to go stay with his parents and said, you're going to believe what you want anyway, feels like an admission of guilt as well. Assume the worst. Like, just go ahead and assume it, OP, because he's not willing to do any work to defend himself at all, which to me says there's no point. What do you think, Tater? I mean, tell me what you get from this, because it's a pretty up situation. Or maybe this would be TV show plot worthy. Maybe it was all her. Maybe she orchestrated all this and framed him for it just to get rid of him. That'd be Netflix series worthy.
I think that I think that he wanted her in some way, and she chose a colleague, and that dismissed him. And so automatically she's a woman who's not good at her job and can't do anything right. And no partner, like she said, she would have bet $1 million that he would have never done something like this. And he won't tell her why he did it. He won't explain to her any of like the backstory of how it came to this level of aggression towards another woman. So he won't give her any of those details. To me, because he's ashamed of those details is why he won't give them to her, because it probably means the end of their marriage if he gives her the why, because he wanted this woman. I mean, what else could you think it would be? Like, nobody does this just because somebody is bad at their job. This is a personal level of attack, to do it on her social media, to do it to her work email, to go to bosses, to email other things, and then to finally leave a threatening magazine on her car. Like, those are all personal attack levels. That's not something that just is work related because she's not good at her job. That is a personal attack on another human being because you dismissed them in some way. You've done something to them that has made them feel like slighted and demeaned or something in some way. And the only thing that makes sense is he was attracted to her and she shut him down. Like, that, in my mind, that is the only thing that I can see that is not like, yeah, if you're professionally pissed off because somebody's bad at their job, like, you're going to take avenues to make and to fix it, and you're going to get frustrated with their work, but you're not going to go through all these levels. I mean, he even went and made fake reviews to shit on her work. Like, that's full on personal attack. And I just can't see, she would have had to have done something that he felt was personal to him to go to this level.
Unless it was just, yeah, I could see that. I could also see how he has this vendetta against any woman who, in his perception, sleeps their way to advance.
Yeah, but she didn't get an advancement, and she just slept with the senior.
Not that we know of, yeah. But also his perception of it could be totally different here. And to Sergeant Mac's point, he's successfully hidden a very dark side of himself from her to this point that now she's going to know about, which begs the question, is this the first time this has happened? Or has he been doing this just with different targets forever, for an extended period of time?
He's not good enough at this to do this for an extended period.
I mean, he did it.
He's stupid.
He did it. He did it
work computer.
From his work computer. Which wasn't he in IT, or was he a programmer?
If somebody did this like for a lifetime, they would be way better at it. And he's an engineer, like he's
a senior engineer. Okay, he's a computer programmer. A computer programmer who didn't realize that the stuff he was doing was being sniffed.
No, he's an idiot. And maybe you didn't get the promotion because you're an idiot. I mean, I don't know. But
Trisha, good point. She says, if he was just jealous of her intelligence, he would complain about her at home. Okay, let's follow that. So if it was I'm mad because I feel like she's even like sleeping her way to the top or advancing beyond me and it's not fair, I would probably share that with my spouse. If it's motivated in something that he knows is wrong,
he's ashamed. He's
going to hide it. So now it feels like it's more of a taboo thing, right? So if it's not a sexual thing, what is it? I don't know. So
I don't know.
Elise was saying she doesn't buy the sexual angle on it because she's had some ex-coworkers go to great lengths to hate somebody. And yeah, it's possible. She definitely emasculated him somehow.
Nobody deserves this, whether or not. If she actually emasculated him in a work-related situation, all he would have had to have done was go to his boss. All he would have had to have done was go to her boss. But instead, he did this and lost everything that he had worked for, and probably lost his family in the process. So it has to be a personal attack in order for someone to lose their entire life over it. Like, I don't know what it could be other than she dismissed him in some way that made him feel demeaned. That's the only thing that I can think of. And to me, it seems sexual. Otherwise, why would you not tell your wife? Why would you not tell her? Like,
yeah, the hiding it means it's wrong. And Dr. Sweets, to your earlier point here, the fact that he was doing all this anonymous means that he knew it was wrong, right? So same thing. If he's hiding it in any way, he knows it's not okay. So it just makes the severity level worse and worse and worse. And now he's been exposed. And rather than even fighting for his marriage,
right,
he's like, whatever, I'm done. I got fired from everything. Lost everything in one day.
I've had men, I've seen men in previous jobs complain and report stuff excessively. And I've seen men, that have worked for us here come to Dusty or myself and report stuff that is affecting them in the workplace. So I wouldn't say that all men don't report stuff. Maybe men like this don't report stuff. But I mean, I just don't understand what would make it so personal for him.
Yeah. I frequently visit HR. She's HR.
Yeah.
So I frequently visit HR both to file complaints and to review the complaints that are filed against me.
By me.
Yes. I really like going to HR. Am I the astronaut for calling off my wedding after my fiance bought a house with his mom? Let's figure out where this thing actually lands. Okay, so me, 28 female, and my fiance, 30 male, have been together for 5 years. We were planning our wedding for this fall and had been talking for years about our future, like kids, finances, and buying a house together. We had a whole plan to save up, find something we both loved, and make it our home. This was talked about a lot. Okay, first paragraph with title alone, I think we know where it's going. Well, turns out he already bought a house, but not with me, with his mom. Red flags. And he didn't even tell me he was looking. Apparently, she found the perfect place and convinced him to split it with her because she didn't want to rent anymore. So now instead of us planning our future together, he's financially tied it to his mother, who's going to be living there full time. Oh shit, it's worse than I thought. They didn't just pick out a place for OP to live there. Its mama's gonna be living there too. It's the worst possible version of the title. I did not see that coming. I just stared at him like, what the f***? And when I asked where I fit into all this, he goes, oh, well, you can move in too, of course. Like I'm supposed to be thrilled to live in a house that his mom picked out, partially owns, and is just there all the time. He also admitted he did it because I was taking too long to save, and his mom offered him a faster way to own something. Oh, wait, what? I don't know if that means that he was like, he was saying that he was struggling saving, or if he was putting that on OP. If he put that on OP, boy, I was so shocked and pissed. I told him I needed space. And the more I thought about it, the more that I realized I can't marry somebody who thinks this is normal. So I called off the wedding. And now his whole family is blowing up my phone saying that I'm being dramatic, that it's just a house, and that I'm overreacting because we can still live together. Even my own parents are saying canceling the whole wedding is extreme. Like, am I losing my mind? Am I the astronaut? Or is this a giant red flag? No, girlie, it is a giant red flag. And the fact that no one else in your network here is seeing it, not even your family, is extremely concerning. You have your wedding this fall. That's why your parents aren't immediately like, yeah, this is bullshit, because they're already invested. They already have things planned, might already have family from far away planning on coming in, and canceling the wedding right now reflects poorly on them, right? So maybe that's a selfish reason for them to want you to sacrifice your future, which is bullshit. It doesn't help. No, you're for whatever reason, you have no support here whatsoever. This is entirely f***ed up. This is not the kind of action that someone who wants to do life with you makes. This is the kind of action that someone who wants to do life with their mommy or wants to do life with their mommy and wants you there, but just there, not actively involved in decision making or anything. He got controlled by his mom, and he's too big of a bitch to admit it. Because you guys planned all this. Your first paragraph here, your plans. You had plans to save. You had plans for picking out the house together. You had plans for kids. You had plans for all this stuff that he jumped ship on because his mommy overpowered him and made him do something. And rather than fess up and be like, she just did all this and I'm sorry. It's just like, oh, well, you can come too, of course. Brozo. And mama. Like, no mother-in-law does this. No pending mother-in-law does this without malicious intent. No level-headed human being does this without discussing it with the person who is engaged to be married to your child in just a few months. Like, no, it doesn't happen. It does not happen. So she either did this to destroy that wedding, or she did it intentionally without him involving you in the decision-making at all. That was her. Believe that. As a way to assert her dominance and control over him even when he's married. She won. And in this case, I'm with you. Cancel that damn wedding. The fact that he's not even apologizing here is a huge red flag. All of this, all the behavior, huge red flags. You are NTA for blowing this whole thing up. And your family might be pissed because it's going to cost them deposit money and they're going to look bad or whatever. It doesn't matter. They can't be willing to sacrifice your future because of that damage. Yeah, there's going to be collateral damage and your future is going to be saved. Blech. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder once again with another story for you. This is a Best of Redditor update and is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Putting a Padlock on My Son's Bedroom Door? I don't like it. I don't like it. Originally posted February 16th, 2021. My 41 female son, 22, left for basic training last Friday. Well, now it's just way different than anything I had imagined. I cried for days and I miss him very much. He called once to let me know that he was safe, but I most likely will not get to talk to him for the next 12 weeks. I went to the grocery store on Sunday. When I came home, I heard my daughter, 16 female, screaming at my middle son, 20 male. When I went to see what was going on, I saw my middle son carrying a laundry basket full of my oldest son's clothes and his PS4. I also saw my husband, 42 male, all of my kid's bio father, putting the rest of his things in garbage bags. My daughter was screaming at both of them to put everything back and that it was Trav's things and not garbage. I asked both my husband and middle son what the was going on. My son said that his father told him he could take what he wants. Dude, he's just in basic. He's not like, he hasn't passed. And even then, what the At that point, I was livid with both of them and said that this was still Trev's home and that until he told me otherwise, those were still his things and they will be kept in his room until he asks for them. My husband said that it didn't matter. Trev was a man now and his home would be wherever the military sent him. I told my husband that he was being cruel to Trev and that this would always be his home. My daughter was hysterical at this point and I told them both that they were despicable for treating his room and things like a shopping mall. The next day, I went out and bought a padlock for his bedroom door and I have one key in the glove box of my car. The other will be taken to my office and locked in my filing cabinet. When my husband saw the padlock, he flipped and told me that I was being over dramatic and that this was his house and he would just take a crowbar and pry it off. I told my husband and Jeff that if I saw either of them in that room again or found that someone tampered with that lock, they would both be out of the house. My husband is now calling me a grieving war widow. What the is with this guy? And my middle son is saying that he is entitled to the bigger room now that Trev is gone. Meanwhile, all of this drama is making Trev leaving harder on my poor daughter who is truly having a hard time with her big brother being gone. My husband is demanding I take the lock off the door and let him clean out the room. I refused to do this and told him that the only way the room is getting cleaned out would be if Trev no longer wants to live there. Am I the astronaut for putting a padlock on the door? This is not what I thought it was going to be at all. Top comments, NTA, will your other son have all of his things put in trash bag bins too? Trash bin bags, yes. You know, since he's a man as well, if your middle son wants a bigger room, he is welcome to find one in his own apartment with his new roommate, your husband. He is 20. Best of luck to your son and thank him for his service. Stay strong, mama. There's an update next day, but before that, what the Why would the two of them be in such a hurry to raid all of his shit? What was that relationship like? Like, did they have one? Did they hate each other? Because it feels like they hated each other. You truly got to just have no respect for somebody to do this to their space and their belongings. And that's his dad and his brother who are doing this and give zero shits. So were they just generally opposed to him enlisting? And this is like a protest. This is closure for them somehow. It's f***ed up. Mostly, I have more disappointment in the father than anything, because as a dad, these are not the actions of a father. At worst case scenario, like, parents could put it in storage or put it something like that, but they're just raiding shit. None of it makes any sense here. Also, I think this 20-year-old brother's gonna have a rude awakening, because his older brother's gonna come back from basic jacked AF and just put him in the ground. It's like, oh yeah, no, he went to go become a hard ass, and then he's gonna come back here and find out that you this stuff. Are you thinking about consequences at all here? Even dad too. Like, come on, man. Here's the update. Next day, February 17th, 2021. I went to bed shortly after I wrote this post and wanted to thank everybody for their commenting, even the negative ones, to answer a few questions. I spoke to Jeff this morning and asked if he had talked to Trev prior to him leaving about taking his PS4 and clothes, and he admitted he did not. I told him that he was stealing his brother's belongings, and he had until noon today to return all of them. He agreed reluctantly to return everything. I told Jeff that if I saw him near his brother's room again, he would have to find someplace else to live, because I would not have my children stealing from each other, especially when the other child is not here. 2. I spoke to my husband this morning as well and asked why he did what he did. He has admitted that he is having a difficult time with Trev being gone, and anytime we walked past his room, he was reminded that he isn't here anymore. Hold up. Hold the phone here, ladies and gentlemen. No reasonable human being is like, yeah, I just got really emotional every time I walked by that room. So I thought because I respect him so much, if I disrespect him really strongly, maybe that'll like balance out. He just doesn't want to have to look at it anymore. He doesn't want to have to face things that cause an emotional reaction in him. That's what he's saying right now. Grow the up, Dad. He broke down and said that he missed him and he was sorry. Oh, missed him so much, you disrespected all of his shit. Cool, makes perfect sense. He too agreed that what they were doing was wrong and said that he would put everything back the way it was until Trev came home and decided what to do with his things and what he planned to take and when he got to his permanent duty station. My husband is former Navy, and he said that he is not there to protect his son and he is scared. He has seen combat and does not want his son to have to see the things that he saw. Okay, there's a potential trauma response involved here now. Potential. Yeah, so he just didn't want to have to face the emotion, and if this emotion takes him down a trauma response path, doing whatever he could to not have to look at it, but just keep the door closed. Does that room look different with the door closed, whether it's empty or not? No! If it bothers you that much, keep the door closed. Because what you're trying to do, Dad, you're trying to create the scene where it's like he's already dead. So you're going to go ahead and get used to seeing that. That way, if and when something does happen to him later on, it's an easier transition for you then. So it's like a safety behavior for you? I don't think he was thinking about his son. I think he was thinking about himself. If his response here is accurate in any way and it's not just a cooked up bullshit story, I think he was only thinking about himself. And he was going to go ahead and prepare himself for the fact that his son was going to be not coming back ever, and was going to go ahead and get himself used to that scene so that he didn't have to deal with it later on, because he would already be conditioned to it. It's like a coping mechanism, but a preventative one. So it's a safety behavior. 3, the entire family agreed that Trev's room would be left the way it was while he was in boot camp and training school, especially since he was only able to take the clothes on his back and his phone when he left for basic. The agreement was that when he was sent to his permanent duty station, he would make an inventory of what items he needed, and we would store or donate what he did not want and ship the things that would not fit into a suitcase. My daughter and her Bubba are very close. This transition has been very hard on her, which in turn has made things worse for me, because not only am I concerned about my son, but I'm concerned about my poor daughter, who is clearly struggling with him being gone. Complicated for a parent, right? You don't only have to feel what you feel, but you also have to be strong for the people who are feeling the similar things as well, or at least you feel like you do. I feel like this is an opportunity for you to be human, though, and for you to show your daughter that it's okay to be human and to feel that with her instead of trying to be stoic, instead of trying to be the person that keeps everything in check, right? My husband and I discuss it, and we think it is wise to find her somebody to talk to, or even a sibling support group for active duty military where she can go and talk about her feelings and fears. Okay, and that's the end. Okay, so everybody's bending to OP/Mama's will right now and following her suggestions or demands, because she said she was going to kick them both out. Lacey Lex agreed. Dad needs to go to therapy too. Everybody needs therapy here. And I imagine that when you have a child that enlists or gets deployed, or I imagine that everybody in that family needs therapy. Everybody needs therapy, period, right? But that's a life-changing event. And that's something that everybody has to adjust to because there is a large chunk of fear attached to it. There's a presumed inevitability. There is this possibility of things going really bad that you can't ignore. But for some people, I feel like that's the all-consuming spot. That's the spot where they live, and that's the spot where they become hyper-focused on it being the actuality. And that's a trauma response, right? That is like, we're heading into spring for me, and whenever storms start rolling in, my brain automatically is going for prepping for worst-case scenario. This is like dad's version of war and his son going off to war. Everybody needs help here. What they did was deeply disrespectful and not constructive in any way, shape, or form. And I hope, even though they've apologized for it and they say they'll make it right, I think your son still needs to find out what they did, and those guys need to have a discussion about it. Blah. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with another story for you. The title of this one is Am I the Astronaut for Refusing to Switch Meals with My Friend at a Restaurant? But go ahead and drop a comment. Let us know what you think. I'm going into TA. I, 27 male, went out to dinner with a group of friends, and we all ordered different dishes. When the food arrived, my friend Ben, 28 male, looked disappointed with his order and said it wasn't what he expected. He then looked at my plate and said, yours looks way better. Want to trade? Time out. So your brozo friend was like, my food looks like shit. Yours looks good. You take shit. Give me good. And he expected that to work? I laughed thinking he was joking, but he was serious. I told him no, I ordered what I wanted and he picked his meal. He got annoyed and said, dude, it's not a big deal. We're both eating either way. I said, exactly. So just eat what you ordered. The rest of the meal was a little awkward. And afterward, one of our friends said I should have just swapped to keep the peace. That friend. Ben wasn't mad exactly, but he was definitely annoyed and barely talked to me the rest of the night. Am I the astronaut for not switching meals with him? No, you are not the astronaut for not switching meals with him. He has been a spoiled little shit his whole life who's been able to do that and force people to trade meals with him because his mommy told him it was okay. And your other buddy has just learned that it's not worth the price of the fight, and he's given into it too. So all of these accommodating assholes in his life bent to his will and trained him that what he's asking people to do is perfectly acceptable. Hey, it's Dusty Thunder with another story for you, and I don't like this one already. I haven't read it, but I know it has to do with clowns and I don't get along. We just don't. Mina Nisa, it is known. Title of this story is Am I the Astronaut for Telling My Girlfriend to Suck It Up Around My Clown Figurines? Me, 26 male, and my girlfriend, 24 female, have been dating for 2 years. Since we started dating, she has known, all caps, that I love clowns. This is a me thing, but I'm going red flag mode for that comment alone. I have several porcelain clowns displayed around my house and on walls, hung from the ceiling on little swings and on shelves. I adore those little weird creatures. Well, last week I bought 2 Venetian masks from the thrift store, and they're in great condition. I got them for a decent price, too. She hates them. She said they're creepy and give her bad vibes, whatever that means. I think it means it's creepy and they give her bad vibes. I told her that I would take down the masks when she's staying the night, but I'm not getting rid of them. She told me that was fine. Yesterday, she got up and told me that we needed to talk. She told me that she's sick of seeing my weird decorations and clown toys everywhere, that they're ugly and creep her out. I asked her where this was all coming from because she has never mentioned my clowns before, all caps again, and she said my bringing those ugly masks into our home was the last straw. And my obsession with clowns was charming before, but now it's just disturbing. At what point was it charming, ma'am? At what point was that not a red flag? I told her that I would take down the masks when she was over. But 1, this isn't our home, it's my apartment. And 2, she's known about the clowns for years. And to try to stop me from decorating my place how I please is controlling. She told me either get rid of them or we're done. I told her to just suck it up while she's here. And if she can't, then I'll come to her place every week. week. She didn't like that answer and called me a child before leaving. I texted her to apologize for telling her to suck it up about the clowns, but she has not responded to me. So, am I the asshole for telling her to suck it up about my clown figurines? Okay. To give truly helpful feedback for this, I have to remove my personal disdain for clowns and say, if this was about any other thing, is OP the astronaut for telling her to suck it up about your clown figurines? Yeah, I mean, you are. Here's the deal. You're into something that she has known about for a long time, so she accepted that about you at some point. At some point, there was a tipping point. It became too much for her, right? Your solution paths right now are not solution paths that lead to a future. You saying, suck it up around him, or I'll just go to your place, is not, hey, someday we're going to get married and live together and have kids. That's why it's such a problem right now. And also, she created a boundary here and said, either calm down on the clown stuffs or we're done, and you decided not to calm down. You chose for that relationship to be done. That's why you're a little bit of an asshole here, because she gave a very clear, like, this is happening or this is happening, and you ignored all of that, and you're like, no, we'll just do this other thing. You're a little bit of an asshole for that. And the clown thing just really creeps me out personally, so, like, sorry for judging you on that. That's a me problem, right? But yes, you chose to end this relationship here. That's what you need to realize. You chose to end the relationship because the choice was either calm down on it or the relationship ends, and you were not willing to calm down on it. And you have to realize that none of your solutions led to any kind of future. What would marriage look like for you guys? Would you have your dedicated clown room? And you'd probably resent her for having to contain it to one room, and it leads to a lot of problems later on, right? There is an edit update here. Edit/update. I wanted to clear up some things that I saw in the comments. I had a small collection started by my grandparents when I was a baby. That's where I got my first swing jester. The collection has grown in the last 2 years to expand to commons decor and not just dolls. Okay, wait, how long have they been together? Let me go back to that real quick. They've been together for 2 years. So he's been, okay. The collection has grown rapidly in the amount of time that they've been together. So it's not what she accepted about him in the beginning. For the update, she saw the post, she read the comments, and called me today. She wasn't too happy about being called an asshole, but she apologized for being controlling. Turns out she wanted to see if I would get rid of my collection if it meant keeping her, like it was some relationship test. Note, she did really hate the Venetian masks and didn't like that they are hanging above my bed. I told her that if it came down between her needing me to get rid of them or sell them for expenses, then I would of course do that. But I'm not just going to get rid of my collection because someone says so. She asked if we could move on from this, and I told her no. I don't like that she tried to test my love by asking me to get rid of my collection. She left. We're officially broken up now. On the bright side, I can fill my house with more clowns. I even found a music box online that I might get. Thank you everybody for helping me figure out that I wasn't in the wrong. And to those saying I'm a serial killer for owning clowns, I've read quite a few comments from people collecting dead things, so I think I'm in the clear on that. Yeah, my clown thing is a personal me thing. Like, no judgment on you for that. I find them creepy. But I still think you're a little bit of an asshole here for not being willing to honor the boundary. And the boundary was either our relationship is done or this. Now, you ended up choosing the path of the relationship being done, like we talked about, and then you stuck to that even when she tried to backtrack it. Yeah, she's an asshole for testing you. I call bullshit on the test, by the way. It was not a test. Candy Thunder, you want to come up? That was not a test. That was regret.
Yes.
That was 100% just regret.
I don't think she intended it to be a test. I think she just called it that afterwards to try to backpedal? Well, and she read the things, but it is interesting. I didn't pick up on that the first time, that his collection has grown in the last 2 years and that they've been together over the last 2 years. So you're right. She didn't walk into this with 100 different clown figurines. She walked into this with the one that he was left from his grandparents.
Or the small collection.
The tiny, yeah.
That is now grown.
But it wasn't in his bedroom. It wasn't in other areas of the house. He just had a couple things, and now that has grown tremendously. So it is they just aren't compatible. She doesn't like the clown. She's freaked out by him. Right. He enjoys the clowns, so he needs to find somebody that enjoys the clowns. But
yeah, and trying to force that relationship, does it make her more of an asshole or him? Because they're trying to force something that's just not going to work here. It's a part of who he is. She can't accept a part of who he is, but tries to manipulate him in that. And yeah, she's an asshole for that. He, instead of being willing to, should he be willing to change? I guess that's the question.
No, I think he should find somebody that accepts his clowns and wants to decorate their whole house with that. But it's not her. I think she was legitimately freaked out by the collection and then read the comments on Reddit and backtracked and called it a test.
Because of that. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think she initially did it. I think the masks, like the Venetian masks that he bought, were like the tipping point for her, and he hung them above the bed. So you're laying in bed looking at these creepy masks, and they are kind of creepy.
That's a personal taste thing, though.
Yeah, it's a personal taste.
Make it a collection of anything.
Yeah.
Maybe he had like samurai swords all over the house.
I think they both kind of suck a little bit.
So it's an ESH?
For me, like he I don't know, putting creepy clown masks above your bed, you can say it's a you problem and you don't, but it creeps me out.
Okay, but it's his thing.
Totally.
Right? Where the only part where I think he's the asshole
and judging
is for how he handled her approach with her saying like, it's this boundary, this or this. And he didn't respect that at all. Hey, Dusty Thunder here, and I wanted to thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed that content, and if you did, please make sure to like, subscribe, and most importantly, share. Also, you can find swag and so much more at dusty-thunder.com, and you'll find even more content on all of our platforms. We're on TikTok, YouTube. We now have an official Facebook page that we'll be posting stories to as well. We have podcasts on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and so much more. You can see all of our content platforms on Linktree, which is linked in my bio. Engage with us wherever you're enjoying content, and do your best to avoid the Askonauts today. Thanks again.